Hi, and welcome to another episode of pianoTV. So today I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do a top 5 video, and I've done like roundup type style videos, but I've never like forced myself to pick like a first place, a second place, like that kind of thing, because I'm not very good at making decisions like that. But I thought it'd be fun to try. So we're gonna do a top 5 Bach songs from movies and TV. So as a disclaimer, this is like just my own opinion. There's no science behind this other than like what I thought was awesome. Also, I'm only gonna be pulling from movies and TV shows that I've seen, which is a fair amount, but it would be pointless to talk about a movie I've never seen. So that was just kind of my thinking. So let's get to it. Just a really quick backstory. So Johann Sebastian Bach was a German composer who was active in the early 1700s, so in the Baroque era of music. Bach isn't quite as well known as like other guys like Beethoven or Mozart. Maybe you've heard the name, but I don't know if you could like name a Bach song to me. As a piano side note, I really like learning Bach on the piano because his music's super tough and makes for really awesome skill building technique exercises, and like yeah, they're just like masterpieces the further you get. So my guess is, even if you think you don't know Bach music or you're like unsure about it, you'll probably know at least 3 pieces from this list. And then you'll be like, now I know that's Bach. Starting our list at number 5 is from a TV show that we all know, probably, called The Simpsons. So the piece in question is one called Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring. I think I'm saying Jesu, like Jesus. Jesu. So this piece is a famous instrumental work by Bach, and aside from probably having heard it at like every wedding you've ever been to, it's been in TV shows and movies such as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Downton Abbey, 40-Year-Old Virgin, How I Met Your Mother. So if you remember, going back to The Simpsons, if you remember the episode where Bart and this like reverend's daughter hook up and she turns out being like a wild bad girl, like too bad for Bart, then you might remember this song. So number 4 is from the classic 1972 movie, The Godfather. So here we are going to listen to a piece called, I have to look, Passacaglia and Fugue in C minor by Bach. Okay, so basically what's happening is, I don't really need to talk about The Godfather, most of you probably know it, but I'm not going to spoil anything. But there's this like really big, crucial, pivotal scene that I'll call the baptism scene. And during this scene, it's like a literal baptism, I don't know why I did air quotes. But during this scene, there's like really creepy organ music in the background. And an interesting side note, the writer of the movie didn't really like that baptism scene montage until he heard Bach's organ music underneath it. So it really makes the scene. Now, the reason this gets a 4th place spot instead of higher on the list, even though this movie is a classic, this piece by Bach is not very well known, and it's also not forefront in the movie. Like, it adds a lot of ambience, but it's not like out in your face like number 3, 2, and 1. Next up is number 3, and this is going to be from the classic movie, The Pianist. Listen to how carefully I pronounce that. It's a great movie with a great soundtrack, especially if you're a piano player or you like piano music. I mean, 90% of the soundtrack is Chopin, but there are other things here too, like Bach. Obviously, this is a video about Bach. So in the movie, there's this girl named Dorota, and she's a cello player, and in the middle of the movie, she plays this piece. Now, this is Bach's cello suite number 1 in G major, and particularly we're going to look at the prelude because that's a part that I guarantee you've heard before, because it's in other pop culture stuff, but it's also like, I don't know, I've heard it this way anyway, but it's like a cell phone ringtone. So you've heard it, even if it's just from that, you've heard it. And my number 2 selection is actually the most modern one on this entire list, and it's from the TV show called Boardwalk Empire. So this is basically a TV show about gangsters in Atlantic City, and it's a good show. So the song in this show that I'm going to show you is Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor. And most of us will know the tune, but you might not recognize the title. You might just know it as that like super creepy Halloween time sounding song. So this plays in an episode of Boardwalk Empire called Home. And in this episode, you meet a guy named Richard, who in my opinion, he like just kind of makes the show. So this is like your introduction to Richard, who's like this disfigured ex-army guy who happens to be like this wildly talented assassin, and at the end of the episode he's like assassinated someone. It's all like whoa, and this music plays boldly in the background. It's awesome. Finally, number 1. I chose this one as number 1 because this is not used as a background song like the other 4. This is like used as a actual named example in the movie. So the movie in question, if you haven't seen it, go see it. It's awesome. It's called Mr. Hollands Opus. So it's basically about this music teacher named Glenn. Well, actually, he's not a music teacher at first. He's like a failed composer, and then he like learns how to connect with the kids and teach them music and help them and grow as a person. So the piece in question is Bach's Minuet in G, and it's a really, really simple piano piece, and I'm sure you've heard it. So he's like trying to find a way to connect with his students who are like kind of just like slacking off and they're failing tests and stuff. So he's like, okay, guys, what music do you like? And they're like, I like rock and roll. And then he's like, okay, if you like rock and roll, he like starts playing this song, and it's Bach's Minuet in G. And he's like, what song is this? And they're like, this is the Toys rock and roll song called Lover's Concerto. And he's like, this is Bach's Minuet. And then he plays like the original version of Bach's Minuet, and they're all like, mind blown. I actually think classical music is awesome. So that's why I chose this as an example. And also, yeah, just go see the movie. And that concludes our top 5 Bach music and pop culture countdown. So hopefully you realize that maybe you knew a little more Bach than you think, and now you have some names and references for those songs that you already know. Actually, when I was researching this video, I was super surprised because there's almost 1,000 movies and TV shows that have used Bach music. That's a lot. There's a little bit of Bach for everyone. Thank you for watching this video. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more like it. I had a ton of fun making it. And I hope you found it mildly to intermediate entertaining. Take care. This was tricky to decide between one and two, but no, f that.